Hello, ARC family, and welcome to the ARC Journey. We have with us today Kathy Bishop. She is the General Conference, Churches of God General Conference Treasurer. She does a wonderful job making sure that our ministries are funded, that money gets to where it's supposed to be. And she has the incredible, wonderful task of keeping us out of financial trouble with the IRS. And part of that is the reason why I wanted her to talk today. You've seen some of the publications or some of the emails that have gone out about the open enrollment at the moment with the General Conference for 501c3 status for your congregation and for your ministries that you are doing in your church. And the question comes, many of our churches are tax exempt, but are not 501c3. And so I asked Kathy if she could come and explain the differences and what the advantages are. And I'm just going to turn it over to you and let you and your experience and knowledge and just talk to us. Thank you, Kathy, for being here today.
Thank you for having me, and welcome all of our church family members out there. So I'm really excited to talk to you a little bit today about this. So being a 501c3 is a process that happens. You make application to the IRS and then they approve you. And that has all to do with proving your charitable purpose and things like that. And one of the key points that you need to remember about 501c3 status is that allows contributions made to your organization to be deducted on federal tax returns. So that 501c3 status truly is allowing that to happen. Tax exempt, then, once you've received that 501c3 status, tax exempt is what your organization is considered. So for Churches of God General Conference, we are a 501c3 as recognized by the IRS. We then took that next step and made additional application to the IRS and said we would like to be able to take all of our churches and ministries who are working with us under our denomination and make them part of that 501c3 as well. That means they could allow their donors to deduct contributions and a lot of other benefits. So we, the General Conference, have that designation, and then each subordinate organization under us has to make application not to the IRS and go through that process. They can make application to our General Conference, Phil.
Yeah, it can become an expensive legal process if you're doing it on your own. Yeah.
It can, yeah. So that's the nice part. You can come straight to the General Conference and make that application. So we do that anytime a new organization, church or ministry wants to do that, they can do that anytime during the year. Once a year, the IRS does ask us to run a renewal process. And so we're in the midst of that renewal process right now. And that we ask you to take a look at your basic information. We ask you to tell us if you've made any changes to your articles of incorporation, your bylaws, your constitution. And then we ask you to affirm that you are still operating in a charitable way. You're don't have any violations around political campaigning and things like that. So those are the quick steps to the renewal process. I do want to take a moment here, Phil, and probably remind us that 501c3 status, right, is through the IRS. Once you have that status, tax exempt then becomes a process that runs through the state. So each state is different. Pennsylvania, for instance, you go to the Pennsylvania Department of Revenue and you apply for sales tax exemption. The forms are on their website, but I'm always happy to take calls and help people find the right forms if they have questions on those. West Virginia, they go through their state tax department website is where you go through for them. So any questions you have there, Phil, on that before I move on?
No, that's good.
Okay. Then the other thing I do want to remind you too, while we're thinking about states and local taxes, some places will be able to qualify for property tax abatement or exemption. Typically, you start that process, you're going to go to like your local county or whoever administers your property taxes, and you're going to say to them, hey, I'm a 501c3 organization, and you're going to ask them what the process might be. Each place is a little different. And also remember, sometimes it has to do with how your property might have been zoned many years ago. So zoning does come into play there. But I want to remind people that there might be an opportunity there that you've aren't taking advantage of right now. Okay.
Good. Yeah.
This year, when we did our renewal process, I want to touch on this because it has changed this year. We went with a digital first campaign. So what that means is we have a form online, and we send out an email link to pastors and leaders, financial leaders within our denomination. That form should take you, I'm going to say 3 to 10 minutes, depending on if you've got your information handy. And it's asking the same questions that it always has. Nothing has changed in the way we've asked those questions. We also have some fillable PDF forms out on our website. If you don't want to fill the form in online, but you want to print it out and fill it out, you can do that, mail it into us, and we'll get your renewal letters out mid-March is when those renewal letters will go out. We'll do kind of a big batch of them then once we've gotten all the applications in. I do want to remind people of some of the advantages of being part of our federal group tax exemption. I think Phil mentioned earlier, you don't have to go through the costly process of getting your own 501c3, right, with an attorney and all of those things. Donors can deduct their contributions on their taxes. Remember, there are grants out there that we as churches and 501c3s qualify for. So typically all you'll need to do is show them your federal group tax exemption letter that you received from us, from the General Conference Office, and that will allow you to apply for some grants. One of the other really cool things that I think is out there that we forget about sometimes is the companies that will match employee donations to 501c3s. So if we as a church are a 501c3, maybe there's a company who says, if you give $500, I will match your $500 with another. So that's a really neat benefit that's out there. And then also, of course, just the tax exempt ability to purchase, right? Whether it be Walmart, whether it be Amazon online. I mean, typically you can walk in with a form sometimes you have to call ahead and say, what is the process? Anytime you have questions on how do I do this, where do I look, what can I do, please, please, please reach out to us here. We are happy to help with that. I'm happy to take those calls anytime you have them. Our number here is 419-424-1961. So I'd love to take your calls whenever you have those questions. Okay. So what other questions might you have about all this fun, exciting tax exemption?
Yeah. I have my one question I was thinking about was, if my local church were to so my church becomes 501c3, the church that I belong to and working with or pastoring, but we start off a ministry that then grows, right? Maybe it becomes we still own it, but at the same time it becomes a there's much more community buy-in, community involvement, and we start to wonder about risk and risk management. What is there the capacity to create ministries with their own 501c3, not necessarily a church?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And I think we need to start thinking outside the box like that. But yes, so again, that would come back to them having their own constitution, articles of incorporation, or bylaws. Again, you don't have to have all of 3 of those things, right? Depending on how your church has developed over the years. But once those are developed, you would have your own board or governing body for that, right? Still oftentimes sitting under your church, right, Phil? But yes, they could apply then for 501c3 status under our federal group tax exemption. Each time we get a new application, we're reading through your bylaws and making sure that there's some key language that has to be in your bylaws or constitution for us so that you qualify under a federal group tax exemption. I have that language. I'm happy to send it out whenever people have questions. I'm happy to get your constitution and your bylaws, and we kind of read through them and we say, oh, this language needs to be changed. Typically, you can take that back to your board or your governing body, sometimes your church body, and make those changes. But yeah, I think definitely taking a look at ministries as they grow, thinking about risk management is a great way to think about this, Phil. Yeah.
That's awesome. So my experience has been is that if you have absolutely any question or any doubt whatsoever, give Kathy a call. She takes the time in her busy schedule. She's done tonight to come talk to us, or today, or whenever you're listening to this. I know that her heart is really to help you in your local church. So, don't hesitate to give a call or to reach out, because these are the resources that are available to you. And so take advantage of it. Do you have anything else you want to say?
I'd love to remind our churches of a couple other things. We have a pension plan that's available, and that is available for our church team. And the benefit over that plan, compared to other plans that you might have locally or in your community, is that retired clergy under that plan are able to apply for a housing allowance, and that makes a big difference in retirement, and what kind of cash you have available and the tax impact of that. So really, if you have any questions, we would love to connect you with some resources, and talk with you about our pension plan. I know sometimes it's hard to think, I don't have those extra dollars to save, but it really is important. So if you're not talking to us, please be talking to somebody. But we would love to talk to you and try and help you figure out a way to even just start a small little amount that begins an account for you, and then talk with you about steps or plans to increase that amount as the years go by. So that's definitely something that I'm passionate about, and we've got a lot of team here who really love to share what we have available on that. The other thing I want to remind people is we've got lots of online giving ability for global reach and all of our initiatives that are in the designated giving booklet. So be sure, if you've gotten your new booklet, there's links and things like that, or you can always go to our cggc.org website and see all of the wonderful things going on there. Thank you so much, Phil, for this opportunity to speak with you, to speak with your churches. Please give us a call if you have any questions.
Well, thank you very much. And thank all of you for what you're doing day to day for the ministry that you are. This is just another resource and support for you in your ministry efforts. So keep shining, and we'll talk to you next week. Thanks, Kathy.
You're welcome.